shell some corn with the old M3. So we're gonna go to some pretty nasty muck, and we'll see if we can get it picked off with the M3. If not, we'll have to put this head on the L2 on tracks and pick it that away. So this is a friend of ours that started farming this farm again after this farm is set for like 15 years in a government program. Kind of rewind a little bit. Back in the day, we went to this farm and we disconnected all the tile lines on it so that it could go into this government program. That was a stipulation. It could not have no drainage. Well, we done that and converted it over back to natural land, and then they decided to start farming it again. They were going to put some ear corn on it for some cows, and they got on it and they realized that they were going to have trouble. And this is also the same farm that this last summer we pulled out a sprayer on. So it's a pretty treacherous piece of dirt, so it's going to be pretty exciting to go pick it. So I'm going to get there and get started and see what we can get done. Well, here's where we're going. Water's pretty high in the ditch. We'll see what happens out here. It's pretty low ground out here. This is out by Bass Lake. We're gonna pick this off right here. See how this goes. Well, we're gonna get started here. talk about what has happened in the last hour and a half. So I was picking down towards that low spot where the sprayer had gotten stuck, and I got down there and I was into my turn, and all of a sudden I heard this loud pop on the M3. So I thought, oh no, what just happened? So I stopped right away. Well, I went to move forward, I couldn't move forward. I went to back up, I couldn't back up. I looked out to my left, and the Citadules was jerking when I'd moved the hydrostat. Well, final drive finally let go on that combine. On me anyways. Who knows how many final drives has been put on that combine. So I called Dad, I said, we got a major problem. I said, I can't go nowhere. I said, I have no go on the left side. So he come and got me, and I said, you know what, we'll just drag this M3 to the end of the field. Let's go get the L2 on tracks and let's finish up. So run over to our building where the L2 is sitting on tracks, got it started, got it loaded up on the trailer, checked fluids, it's ready to go. So we're gonna get it over here. We're gonna get the head off the M3, we're gonna put that head on the L2, and we're gonna continue picking corn. So I am very excited about this because I really wanted to run the L2 on tracks, and now I've got the chance to do it. So yeah, it's a little bit of work switching everything over, but I'm excited I get to pick some corn with it. Didn't get to pick any corn with it last fall, so now I get to this spring of 2024. So let's get head switched and let's get at it. Cool thing is though, we're gonna get action from both combines in this video, the M3 and the L2. So that's a cool thing. There's the M3 over there. We're gonna have to drag it up to the high ground with the L2. All right, we'll get unloaded and get out there. So the first thing we gotta do is we gotta unload the M3 into the L2. So we don't have to drag the M3 all the way back to the semi. There's really no good place to unload it unless we go get the grain cart. Then once we get it unloaded, we'll go ahead and switch heads. give me an opportunity to video it.
Good thing I got extra combines.
get them stuck and drag them out, than to bring the nice machines out and put them through all that stress. Get this finished off over here. This seems to be the wettest side of the field. I asked Dad what he thought, and he's like, I feel like I run a dozer all day long. He said it feels just like a dozer when you get out of it. I'm like, yeah, it definitely does. laid out to help me get up on. Across the road here. Crossed the road last night to load back up on the lowboy with the L2. I discovered that a track had ran off. So it come off the top of the sprocket and it came off of the idlers at the bottoms, but it stayed on the bottom track rollers. And there was no putting it back on by hand. So by this time it was getting dark. So I told Dad, let's just leave it. We'll come back in the morning with the Bobcat and we'll get the track put back on. That track weighs about 16 ounces to the pound and it is pretty heavy, so I think with the T870 we can get it shoved back on and get it loaded up and get it home. Let's see what we can do. Alright, trailer's hooked up. Dad's gonna pull it up. We'll get loaded up. So Mark, the owner of the property and our friend that picked corn for, he told us that his grandpa always called that farm the cursed 40. As he said, always something went wrong there. Well, 3 things went wrong yesterday. The M3 stripped out a drive coupler, the L2 ran a track off, and Mark's little tractor, he started up to leave, and it died, now it won't restart. So, it is a cursed piece of ground, I think. So I brought the Bobcat in, and I pushed on the rail, and it shoved it right back on the front idler, and then I was able to put it back on the rear idler. Now I think if I just pick up and drive forward, it should pop right back up on the sprocket. Last night I threw the chain over the thrasher housing and pulled on it with a ratcheting chain binder just so I knew it wouldn't fall off overnight. So let's see what happens. This might be easier than we think. Alright, so we have to back the tracks off in order to get that back on that sprocket. So they're all manual tensioners. They're bolt thread with nuts. So we gotta get the nuts off. We gotta get the 4 bolts loosened up on each side so that idler is sliding its slot. I got the inside adjuster loosened up. This outside's being a real bear. And that's a short 1.5 wrench. I need some long ones. I'll have to get me a set. I can't get a socket in there until I get it threaded off to a certain point because the shaft or the bolt is so long they won't allow it. So we're going to use the Bobcat to help me pick the roof up. Well, it's a good thing I don't need this combine till probably maybe next fall because I kind of broke the tensioner bolt. Oh well, no big deal. It's an easy fix. Just got to get back to the shop to do it. So At least so now that broke, that should slide in. As long as we can get it together, we can get it home. Just pick up hard on the track, and I'll pull that idler in. Take a bobcat and see if we can't push on that idler and shove it back out, and I'll tighten them 4 bolts on the sides. See what happens. Or I thought maybe I could just drive some sort of wedge in behind the idler and the track frame to poke it back out. Actually a hair tighter than it was.
You sure don't look like it.
It tightened it up some more. That'll be enough to get it home. I'll go ahead.
Let off the lever and it popped past.
I know.
It must relax.
Yeah, I think it does. Alright, I'll tighten up that inside bolt and then we'll get it up on the trailer. all chained down, and I think we're ready to go. So we'll get the truck hooked back up and head home. Well, we did make it home safe and sound. We even got the M3 moved home. I done a little tack welding on the drive couplers and got it to hang together to drive it home. So out on the road, it's not like it's gonna pull real hard. So I'll have to fix that when I get some time. I got some things I want to fix on this one, but this is the first time in 2 years that this machine has actually been back here to the shop. For the longest time it sat over by our other building, so now that it's here at the shop I can work on it. But anyways, I didn't get it unloaded. As you can see, it's the afternoon. I didn't get it unloaded because Zach called me and said that there was an issue with the 690B. He had a hose blowout on it and he was going to dig in some dry wells for his new storage shed, and the 690 ended up being right in the way for the building contractor that's coming to build this week. So I went over there and I took my cap set that I carry in my truck, and it was the one of the hoses for the left-hand track had blown out. Actually, the crimp blew off the hose because whoever made that hose didn't get it crimped right. So what I did was I just plugged that circuit, and then we ended up finished digging in his dry wells. I just crutched the 690 around and got him dug in, put his pipe in, put his stone in, got all that finished up, and then I limped it out of the way, and I got the hose. I'm gonna get him a hose made this week yet, and then we'll get the old 690 put back together and make both tracks run again. But it's always a good thing to have on hand is a good cap set with all the caps that would match the different fittings on any excavator that you might own, because the caps come in handy if you're ever in a bad situation and you blow a hose out. A lot of times you can cap that circuit and you can get the machine back to high ground or somewhere safe. So it's a good thing to have on hand, is a good set of caps. So anyways, thank you for watching. I greatly appreciate it. I'm gonna unload this tomorrow since it's already 4 o'clock and it's Sunday. I'm gonna go home and spend some time with Madison and maybe go out to eat tonight, so we'll see what happens. But anyways, thank you for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this. We actually got to take the L2 on tracks out and play with it for a while, so it's a pretty cool video. I think I had fun doing it. So all right, see y'all in the next one.